Hey Bears fans, welcome back. It's another big day for Chicago football, and we've got plenty to dive into. Before we get rolling, make sure you're all caught up because this week has been packed with updates, roster moves, and a lot of talk about what's really going on inside Hallis Hall. The Bears have been working through a stretch where the margin for error is getting thinner and thinner, and this weekend could be a real turning point. Let's get right into it because there's a lot happening on the field and off of it that deserves our attention. First things first, Chicago made a move that might not seem huge at first glance, but it's a sneaky smart one. E&O has been activated off injured reserve, and that's quietly one of those roster tweaks that can make a difference. Carl Jones was cut to make space, but it sounds like the team still values him and could bring him back to the practice squad soon. What matters here is that E&O is a player who's been a key contributor on special teams, and honestly, that unit has been rough lately. When you've been struggling to get any consistency in coverage or in returns, a guy who brings energy and knows the system can be exactly what's needed. The Bears' special teams have been under the microscope, and rightfully so. If this move brings even a little stability there, it's a win. And speaking of stability, injuries continue to shape this team's outlook heading into the weekend. TJ Edwards hasn't practiced again, and that's not a great sign. The hand and hamstring issues have lingered, and the hamstring especially seems to have flared up again. It's frustrating because when he's on the field alongside Tremaine Edmonds, that linebacker duo has looked strong, arguably the heartbeat of the defense. Without him, that group loses its balance. Josh Blackwell is also still in concussion protocol, which almost certainly rules him out for Sunday. Dominic Robinson is still battling that high ankle sprain, so he's likely out at least another week, maybe two. Now, not all the news is negative. Some guys are trending up. Kevin Byard went from not practicing to limited, and that's a solid sign he'll be ready to go. Roscoe Johnson has been limited with a back issue, but if he keeps improving, he could be back in action. DJ Moore is dealing with that nagging hip and groin problem, but managed to practice in a limited fashion, and you know how tough that guy is. Even if he's not 100%, you can bet he'll want to be out there. Same goes for Rome, who's nursing an ankle and heel issue. You can tell it's been affecting his routes lately, but he's fighting through it. The Bears need all the firepower they can get, especially on offense, so every bit of progress helps. As for the guys trending toward full strength, that's where the optimism comes in. Kyle Monangai looks good to go. DeAndre Swift went from limited to full participation, and Luther Burden has cleared the concussion protocol and looks set to play. That's a big deal because adding Burden back into the mix gives this team another versatile weapon. If he's active, he'll likely be key on returns as well, which ties right back to those special team struggles. Amon Agbog-Mamiga is also off injured reserve, fully participating and ready to roll. Slowly but surely, Chicago is getting healthier, and it couldn't come at a better time. On the flip side, the Giants, this week's opponent, are pretty banged up. Their top corner, Paul Adivo, looks doubtful. Bo Collins, one of their receivers, is also likely out. Their kicker situation is a mess, and there's even talk that they might need to pull someone up from the practice squad. When you're facing a team with that many holes, it's an opportunity you simply can't waste. The Bears have to take advantage of it and impose their game early. Now, let's talk about one of the big storylines of the week, special teams coach Richard Hightower. The pressure has been mounting, and fans haven't been shy about expressing their frustration. It's fair criticism, too. The Bears' special teams, once a strength, have looked unrecognizable this season. Hightower himself admitted it wasn't their best brand of football. Kick coverage has been rough, returns have been inconsistent, and the field position battle has been a disaster. When you're consistently giving opponents short fields while struggling to flip the field yourself, you're playing from behind all game long. The mistakes have been piling up. A few miscommunications here, a blown gap there, and it all adds up. Last week's blocked field goal was a prime example. The protection broke down, and it's the kind of mistake you can't afford in close games. It's not always clear how much blame falls on the coordinator versus the players, but it's obvious something has to change. Field position matters, momentum matters, and right now, the Bears are losing both on special teams. The hope is that with Ian O. back and a few adjustments, they can clean things up before it costs them again. And while we're talking about kicking, Cairo Santos is back under the microscope. He's been a reliable presence for years, accurate, composed, and steady, but this season has been shaky. The accuracy dip is noticeable, and while his career numbers have always hovered around 90%, this year he's dropped below 80. That might not sound catastrophic, but when you don't have the leg strength to attempt long kicks, every miss hurts even more. Santos has never been the type to hit from 60 yards, but he's usually money inside his range. The problem now is that even those shorter kicks are feeling less automatic. That has the team quietly wondering about options. Jake Moody is waiting on the practice squad, and he's got the kind of leg that opens up the playbook. You can try from deeper, you can take shots at the end of halves, and that matters. It's a delicate balance. Moody doesn't have Santos's consistency, but he brings range and power. The question is how much patience the Bears will have if the current struggles continue. Missing one or two is one thing, but when it starts to cost games, the decision gets a lot tougher. One bright spot lately has been a play of Montez Sweat. Finally, after a slow start, he's looked every bit like the player Chicago traded for. 3 sacks, multiple tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in his last few outings. He's been disruptive, explosive, and consistent. It's exactly what this defense needs. You can feel his presence now. His name gets called during every broadcast, and that wasn't always the case earlier in the season. He's impacting both the run and the pass. And when a defensive lineman is forcing that kind of attention, it elevates everyone else around him. Sweat's resurgence has been one of the key stories for Chicago's defense. He's grading out well on both run defense and pass rush metrics, and you can see his confidence growing with each game. This is what the Bears envisioned when they made that trade, a leader on the line who sets the tone. There's still room to grow, but this second half of the season could be where he really cements himself as the cornerstone of this front four. Chicago is far from perfect, but there are glimmers of progress. If the defense keeps trending up, if special teams can find its rhythm again, and if the offense stays healthy, this team could start turning those close losses into wins. The fans can feel it too. It's not about miracles, it's about momentum. The Bears just need to take that next step, clean up the little things, and keep fighting through. The margin is thin, but the potential is real. This week will tell us a lot about how close they are to putting it all together. All right, Bears fans, let's keep this rolling because there's still a lot to unpack after a long week of updates, reactions, and locker room chatter. Chicago is sitting in an interesting position right now, a mix of frustration, flashes of improvement, and a growing sense that something bigger is brewing under the surface. The city feels it, the players know it, but it's all about translating that potential into consistent football on Sundays, and that's what everyone's waiting to see. Let's start with special teams, because that's been the sore spot lately. Coach Richard Hightower owned up to it this week, and that accountability matters. He didn't try to sugarcoat anything, didn't make excuses. He basically said what every fan's been thinking. This unit hasn't been good enough. When your coverage team is getting gashed, when your return game isn't flipping the field, and when you're losing the hidden yardage battle every single week, it's tough to win games. Football might be about offense and defense in the headlines, but those small special teams moments, the blocked kick, the missed tackle, the failed return, they shape entire games. It's easy to forget how much confidence used to come from that phase of the game. Remember last year when the Bears' special teams were a weapon? Now it's the opposite. The mood feels tight, almost anxious, every time they line up for a return or kick. That's not how you want your team to feel. But this is still fixable. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about fundamentals. Gap control, discipline, tackling. That's why bringing Ian O. back in the fold could be a subtle but important spark. He's been that guy who does the little things right, who hustles, who takes pride in making a tackle on kickoff coverage. Those are the kinds of plays that don't make highlight reels, but win the respect of the locker room and help rebuild confidence across the board. Now, the Cairo Santos situation keeps getting louder, and honestly, it's a delicate one. Santos has been one of the most reliable players this team has had in the last few years. When everything else felt uncertain, he was steady. But right now, something's off. Maybe it's mechanics, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's just a cold streak, but the timing couldn't be worse. The Bears don't have the luxury of leaving points on the field. When drives stall around the 35 or 40-yard line, those are supposed to be automatic three-point opportunities. Missing one of those early in a game changes everything. The play calling, the momentum, even the energy on the sideline. Jake Moody is sitting there on the practice squad with that big leg, and it's clear the team is at least thinking about it. But it's a tricky decision. You're weighing leg strength versus reliability. One can stretch the field, the other has been automatic for years. But lately, that reliability has slipped. If Santos doesn't find his rhythm soon, the pressure to make a change will only grow. This coaching staff has been patient, but you can feel that patience wearing thin. What's happening with Montez Sweat, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's a story of patience paying off. He's finally hitting the level the Bears hoped for when they traded for him. The burst off the line is back. The confidence in his hand placement and timing is obvious, and you can tell he's playing faster. He's not just reacting, he's dictating. You can see how the line feeds off that too. When Sweat is disruptive, it makes life easier for everyone else up front. Quarterbacks feel that pressure, running lanes close quicker, and suddenly the defense starts to look like a unit that can win games. Sweat's recent stretch has been his most complete football since coming to Chicago. 3 sacks in 3 games, tackles for loss, forced fumbles, and that relentless pursuit. That's what you want out of your big money guy. And you can tell the coaching staff feels a sense of relief seeing it. It's not just about production, it's about energy. A dominant edge rusher sets a tone for the entire defense. If Sweat keeps trending this way, it changes how teams have to game plan for Chicago. It opens up opportunities for guys like Edmonds and Brisker to make more plays because offenses are forced to focus extra attention on the line. Defensively, this Bears group still has work to do, but there are clear signs of growth. The tackling has improved, the secondary is starting to communicate better, and there's a visible increase in confidence. You can tell these players are starting to believe in what they're building. They've been through stretches of inconsistency, but the energy on the field lately has felt different. It's more connected. The communication before snaps looks sharper. Players aren't looking lost. They're starting to play fast again, and when that happens, the defense becomes dangerous. And that's what Chicago fans have been craving, a defense with swagger. That's been part of this team's identity for decades. You can go back to the 80s, to the Ehrlicher and Briggs years, to the Fangio era. Chicago football has always been built on defense. Seeing flashes of that energy again gives fans hope that something special might be taking shape. If this group keeps improving week by week, they can start setting the tone instead of chasing it. But none of this means anything if the offense doesn't hold up its end. The injuries have hurt, but this is the time where playmakers have to step up. DJ, more playing through pain, says everything about the kind of competitor he is. Roscoe Johnson getting closer to full speed could help balance the offense. And if the offensive line can keep protecting like they did in spurts earlier this year, that will give the quarterback a fighting chance to get into rhythm. This offense doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be efficient. Move the chains, finish drives, and stop wasting opportunities in scoring range. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing, and this one could shake up the league. Jordan Mailata, the towering Australian offensive lineman affectionately dubbed the Human Wall, is reportedly on the move. Sources close to the situation suggest that Mailata could be swapping the familiar green and white of Philadelphia for the navy and orange of the Chicago Bears, a move that would instantly elevate the Bears' offensive line to elite status. Mailata, who has grown from a raw rugby prospect into one of the most physically imposing and technically refined tackles in the league, has long been the cornerstone of the Eagles' protection scheme. But whispers from league insiders indicate that Chicago's front office has been quietly wooing the 6'8" giant, dangling the promise of a fresh challenge and a chance to anchor a line in desperate need of an upgrade. The buzz is that the deal could be closer than anyone expected, sending shockwaves across NFC circles. If Mailata lands in the Windy City, the Bears' offensive line instantly transforms from a liability into a potential fortress. His rare combination of size, agility, and football IQ would not only protect the quarterback's blind side, but also open lanes for the running game in a way that Chicago hasn't seen in years. Sources hint that Mailata's presence could turn rookie and veteran linemen alike into better versions of themselves, creating a ripple effect that could elevate the team's entire offense. Fans on social media are already speculating about the ripple effects. Could this be the move that finally makes the Bears' offense relevant again? Could Mailata's switch from Philly to Chicago signal a broader shakeup in NFC strategy as teams scramble to adjust? While nothing is official yet, the chatter is impossible to ignore, and the mere possibility of the human wall anchoring Chicago's front line has sportsbooks and fantasy analysts on high alert. One thing is clear. If Jordan Mailata completes this rumored transfer, the Bears are about to get a whole lot scarier up front, and the NFL landscape might just shift overnight. As the whispers grow louder, fans and insiders alike are left wondering, are we witnessing the beginning of a new era for Chicago football, or is this just another tantalizing rumor destined to fade? Either way, Mailata's name is on everyone's lips, and the countdown to a potentially historic move is officially on. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.